Good afternoon and welcome to Muskegon Rotary. My name's Jenny Sprague and I have the privilege of serving as the president for this year. I have to say audio clues are really important because it's always taking a while now that we switched it up on you guys. You're kind of like, what's that? But we'll get it. So, anyway, I'd welcome you today. Our theme for March for the Rotary Foundation is water and sanitation. Our program today will be from the Grand Valley State University Annis Water Resources Institute. And we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Meredith Smiley will have our reflection and we'll recite the four-way test at the end of the meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Meredith?
Thank you, Jenny. Good afternoon, Muskegon Rotary. As I look about this room, I am blessed to see a large and diverse group of people. It is good to recognize how different we actually all are. Our talents, our dreams, our backgrounds, and our occupations. And it is good to know that when you created each of us, you broke the mold. No one is exactly like anyone else. Even our thumbprint and our voice tell us how unique we are. Yet we thank you that we can make these differences and mobilize them for the good of Rotary and our community. In our differences, we can think the same thoughts and move together toward common goals. Bless us as we meet together. Thank you for our individuality and also for our common bond. Amen.
Thank you. That was lovely, Meredith. Everybody sit down, enjoy your lunch and some fellowship. I know it's always all too short, so take advantage. I always hate to stop the fellowship, but it's time. We are going to start with a water video, which is our theme for March for the Rotary Foundation. Mike, please.
A single act of good can go a long way. It can cross oceans, cure disease, and create equality. As members of Rotary, we are people of action, and our actions have the power to speak loud and clear. We're changing lives and creating opportunities through our groundbreaking work in clean water, sanitation, and hygiene. Our global grants help communities create and maintain water resources close to home. Because when clean water is within a child's grasp, so is a safe and promising future. We're committed to supporting sanitation projects that meet the needs of women and girls. Our programs provide modern facilities and hygiene training to cultivate long-term health and wellness. From safe access to water to private toilets and programs to teach healthy habits, we're working in homes, clinics, and schools to help families live healthy lives. Rotary Club members unite to create a world where water, sanitation, and hygiene are cornerstones of self-confidence and dignity, well within the reach of families who need it most. With more than a century of experience in service, Rotary is uniquely positioned to meet the challenges of today and fulfill the promise of a peaceful, healthy tomorrow. Your contribution to the Rotary Foundation keeps families connected to a world of good. Every gift is an action that speaks volumes, across classrooms, communities, and continents. Learn how you can support the cause that means the most to you.
Thank you for that. I invite our visiting Rotarians and our Rotary members and their guests to come forward, and we will round it out with our student guests. Claire is here to assist you all. Think pink.
All right. Rotarians, good afternoon. My name is Ken James, Chief Diversity Officer at Muskegon Community College. It is my honor to present and introduce Dr. Van McMullen, who is my colleague at MCC. We are MCC's DEI team. Thank you.
Thank you. Claire will. Yeah. Welcome. And keeping with MCC?
Yeah, it's an all MCC day today. Not all, but close. I am Sue Samaniego. I am here to introduce Isabel Grace, who is also at MCC. She is our digital marketing specialist. She was involved in Interact back in high school days at Mona Shores and is really interested in getting started again with us. So.
Wonderful, welcome.
Good morning, everybody. Carla Flanders here with my friend, Dr. Crystal Frazee. I've known her for quite some time, but she's here in her current role, which is a leadership development, coaching, and consulting agency, focusing on gender equality and getting more women at the table where decisions are made.
A worthy goal, welcome.
Good afternoon, Rotary. Scooch on over. Please join me in welcoming our guests from Orchard View.
Woo! All right.
To introduce two of the seniors is Samantha Wilson. She is the principal at the high school.
All right. Thank you. Good afternoon. While I have the mic for a quick second, I will just put an announcement out to anybody who's interested. Next weekend, we are hosting a state robotics tournament. We are one of the only schools that host a high school competition here in Muskegon County. It's a huge event. We have over 40 schools coming Friday and Saturday, the 15th and the 16th. If you have nothing to do, it's a free event. You can come and watch for a little bit. It's crazy how much they take over our school, but it's also a really cool thing to see our kids kind of get out there and do something a little bit different. With me today, I have two top students from the class of 2024. I have Lillian Klein and Ray Dowdy, and I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Ray Dowdy. I'm a senior, as they said. I'm actually at MCC as well as an early college student. So I'll be graduating with them in the class of 2025, where I plan to transfer, I believe, to Saginaw Valley. And I plan on majoring in a couple different things, I'm not too sure, and then minoring in Spanish. So,
Welcome.
I'm Lillian Klein. I'm also an MCC student, and I'm involved in art club and NHS at the high school. I'm not really sure what my future plans after MCC are, but I know that I want to do something like that I will enjoy.
Well, welcome to all our guests. We're happy you're here with us today, and we hope you will enjoy the rest of the meeting as well. Arn, would you care to come forward and introduce our speaker for us?
Hello, everyone. Arn Bozard here. It's my pleasure today to introduce to you Professor and Dr. Mark Luttington. He's a faculty member of the Department of Biology at Grand Valley State University. Works just down the road from us. Professor Luttington presently serves as the interim director of the Robert B. Annis Water Resources Institute, which is located right on the waterfront here in Muskegon and is a real prominent component of our downtown Muskegon. Mark's areas of expertise are aquatic biology and ecology. He has conducted research and taught numerous university courses in his areas of expertise. Just a sampling include teaching aquatic invertebrates, aquatic plants, ecology of the Great Lakes, management of aquatic ecosystems, environmental ethics, fisheries biology, and many other topics. Mark's education includes an undergraduate and master's degree from Central Michigan University and the University of Wisconsin. Mark completed a PhD with an emphasis on algal ecology at Bowling Green State University in 1989. He's been conducting research, he has conducted research and authored or co-authored numerous publications related to the study of freshwater systems and the Great Lakes. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Professor Mark Luttenton.
How's that? Good? Everybody here okay? Great. Well, thanks so much. I sure appreciate the invitation to come and chat with Rotary today about the R.B. Annis Water Resources Institute. It's certainly a place that's near and dear to my heart, and I'm particularly pleased to be here this month, given that it's the water is the focus of Rotary for the month of March. The video earlier was certainly striking. I've actually spent some time working in Central America, Mesoamerica, in Guatemala and Belize, and then a little bit out in the Bahamas. And it's not until you see an area like that that you really come to appreciate how critical water really is to basic life. We've started a new graduate program in water resource policy, and I'm very pleased to note that the vast majority of interest that we've gotten from potential students has come from individuals in Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, countries that they make decisions in terms of whether or not they give water to cattle to maintain their food supply, or give that same water to humans to support human life. So we're certainly blessed here in the Great Lakes to have such outstanding water resources and unlimited access to those resources. But when you see those issues in other parts of the world, it becomes a very striking contrast. So I applaud Rotary for your efforts in that regard. So I'm a little numb when Arn mentions that I did my graduate degree, received that in 1989. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago, and so I could say, well, I was only like 14 years old when I got my degree, but that would be a lie. So I can't claim that. So with that, if I could, my first slide. So the R.B. Annis Water Resources Institute, certainly we have a West Michigan focus, but a global reach. And hopefully I can kind of touch on some of that today to give you a sense of what we do at the Institute. The Institute was started in 1986. The original director was a fellow named Ron Ward. I was hired at Grand Valley in 1989, just as I was finishing up my PhD work. And I actually assumed the teaching responsibilities that Ron had as he moved into being full-time director. So essentially I've spent the majority of my professional career here at Grand Valley and having some affiliation with the Water Resources Institute. It's been a spectacular opportunity to see an institute be created and evolve and become a mature, full-on research institute with a strong educational mission and a clear connection to the local community. It's a unique place to work. When we started the Institute, the idea was to integrate research, education, and outreach to enhance and preserve our water resources. And I feel like we've achieved that goal and vision with the work that we've done over the last 30 plus years. Our current organizational structure, as Arn mentioned, I'm the interim director at the Institute. We're currently in the process of trying to find a new permanent director. I know many of you know Al Steinman. He has stepped down as the director, but he is still fully engaged. I think he's more busy now with his research and his outreach efforts than he was as the director. We have three primary focal points for the Institute. Our education and outreach is a prominent part of our mission and goal. Our ecological research is another prominent area that we have at the Institute. And then we've kind of emerged this new area that has become a very, very functional and valuable part of our programming, and that's joint appointments with faculty on campus in Allendale or over in Grand Rapids. When I started here, I was the first individual faculty member to be both appointed in biology and at the Institute. Since then, we've been able to cultivate that off and on. Currently, we have two very, very good joint appointments, one with biology and one through the sociology department. The faculty person does research on how people view watersheds and the value of watersheds and the importance of watersheds. That's become a very useful part of our research portfolio. Many of you, I'm sure you have seen our facility down the road on the lake shore. It's a terrific facility to work in. We're constantly making changes, doing some upgrades. We're currently in the process of converting our multi-purpose room, which I suspect some of you have been in, to make it a fully capable Zoom room, so that we can start to invite conferences to our multi-purpose room and give them the flexibility of having Zoom conferences from our facility. We're in the process of putting in the last bit of electronics, so that'll be up and going. And with that change, we've been able to actually attract a couple conferences to West Michigan, to the Institute this fall, one being the Northeast Marine and Great Lakes Laboratories Association. So it's a national group that runs biological stations, marine labs, similar to what we do. They'll be meeting here in October. So we're looking forward to showing a group of people from around the country, especially the Great Lakes and Northeast part of the country, what we have and how spectacular Muskegon is and the resources that we have here. Within our lab space, we have the capabilities of doing high-end, very sophisticated chemistry, a lot of high-end biological work. We've transitioned into molecular ecology, molecular biology, which is a growing field where we're able to apply very sophisticated laboratory protocols to out in the world, biological questions. And I think we've captured that very, very nicely. We also have a very high-end geospatial analysis where we can do land use evaluations using high-end, high-spectral Landsat imagery. So we've moved into that area. Our field station, one of the things that we're particularly proud of is our mesocosm facility. It's the bottom right-hand side of the photo. We have 12 350-gallon tanks that we can fill up with Muskegon Lake water to emulate real-world current conditions in Muskegon Lake and run experiments to ask questions like, if we do X, what will happen? What will be the outcome from that? That's a pretty unique facility to have. Central Michigan has one at an old Coast Guard station up on Beaver Island, and I'm sad, happy to be a chip. But apparently they forgot the fact that Lake Michigan goes up and down. And so as Lake Michigan went to a higher stage, their mesocosm facility got a little flooded. I'm happy to report we are high and dry at this point. Many of you are familiar with our vessel program. We have two large boats, the Angus, DJ Angus down in Grand Haven, is 45 feet. That came online the year that I got to Grand Valley, so we've had that boat in operation for quite a while. We had a boat before that. We had the old Angus motor launch that was owned by DJ Angus. That was the original craft that we used to teach classes off of. Happily, I was up on Beaver Island a couple of years ago and actually found it. Somebody bought it and it's sitting in the harbor on Beaver Island. It's just a spectacular 12-cylinder motor launch. It's just a gorgeous boat. But from that, we have transitioned to our new DJ Angus, the 45-footer, and then the WG Jackson that sits here in Muskegon, which is a spectacular boat to use for both a research platform and as an educational platform. And along with that, we have a lot of small boats that we can run around. A little cheaper to operate. We can get into tight places that we can't with the Jackson, but we have this spectacular fleet of boats to be able to work with. Education is another, as I said, a primary focus of what we do. The faculty at the Institute teach undergraduate courses and graduate courses. So we're fully engaged in terms of our teaching activities with the university. We have two master's degree programs, our master's in biology with the aquatic science emphasis. Our faculty are heavily engaged in that. And then the master's program that I mentioned, we just started not too long ago, the Master's in Water Resource Policy, that seems to be gaining a lot of attention, not just here nationally, but also internationally. Our K-12 programming has been a pretty significant part of what we've done since the Institute was founded. Being able to take kids and adults as well, but kids being our focus, out on Lake Michigan or out on Spring Lake, Muskegon Lake, and show them the resource and the ecosystem, and give them a little bit of a taste, a little bit of the flavor of what we do at the Institute as scientists and how that work gets translated. To that end, since we started the program with the DJ Angus and then with the Jackson, we have had over 190,000 individuals on our boats participating in some type of hands-on educational experience since over the last 30-some years. I think that we have had the unique opportunity to probably touch more young people's lives in terms of science and hands-on science than probably any other university or institution, at least in the state at this point. Our summer intern program is also a critical part of our educational mission. So every summer we bring in a couple dozen undergraduates. So we've partnered now with MCC. We've had some of their students that have come to us and been interns during the summer. They are fully engaged in the research that we do at the Institute. Many of these students get their names on presentations at national conferences, so they get the full spectrum of what it means to be a scientist. They realize that it's hard work, but also realize that the payoffs are pretty spectacular when you see the results and the impacts that kind of research has. Our science, our research, another central focus of what we do. Al was hired to expand our research mission at the Water Resources Institute. Up to that point, we had done some research, but we hadn't had the faculty. We didn't have that critical mass. Al came in and he helped to build the critical mass of scientists that we have today that have really advanced our research mission. Every good institute that's involved in research has a science advisory board, and I'm pleased to say that Al started ours. We've had just a spectacular group of science advisors that have helped us shape our mission in terms of the research directions that we wanted to pursue. For our research, we cover a broad range of topics. So fish biology, that's one of the areas that I work in. If anybody is interested in where the big brown trout are on the Ausable River, let me know. I can tell you exactly where to go. We've gotten into the molecular ecology part, both from a standpoint of native species, where they are, what their abundances are, but we're also using molecular tools to track where new invasive species are popping up. That's becoming a bigger and bigger issue, and so we have the capacity to do that. We got heavily involved in the COVID-19 monitoring work. We've been tracking COVID-19 in wastewater since the disease emerged, and we can tell you where the next outbreak is going to be before it happens. It's just amazing at this point. Go over to Grand Valley, I can tell you which dorm not to visit a week before they close it down and nobody can go in and out. We've had the long-term monitoring buoy out in Muskegon Lake. That's been a critical part of a national network that we're linked into that gives real-time, hour-by-hour data on what's happening in Muskegon Lake. Microbial ecology. We have one of our colleagues, Bopi Bedanda, has been working up in Lake Huron, and he's found an area that we think probably reflects life, the microbial life that was present on the planet back a few billion years ago because of the water chemistry that's associated with that. We do lake restoration work, we do the studies, we make recommendations. Our new geospatial person that's just started not too long ago is actually helping to predict where water shortages are going to occur in the Danube River Basin in Serbia based on Landsat spatial analysis. We're doing a lot of ecotoxicology. We just hired a new faculty member who's very, very active in looking at the impacts of heavy metals, particularly mercury and lead, which are two pretty major issues in terms of drinking water supply. We've had the beach monitoring program for a long, long time. A retired faculty member, Rick Radisky, was very, very active in getting that beach monitoring program here to help warn folks when it's not really safe to go into the water. And then and a lot more, right? This is just sort of a thumbnail, but the last one are the area of Great Lakes research, and I'm gonna take a little bit of liberty, so don't think less of me, because this is actually some work that I did. So I'm not, going to toot my own horn, but I think it exemplifies the scale and the scope of the work that we do at the Water Resources Institute. So I was involved in a research project with a colleague at University of Oklahoma, a fellow named Robert Chehevich. Robert was actually a Grand Valley undergrad, went on and got his PhD at Michigan State, and is a research fellow at University of Oklahoma now, working on the development of natural products that might have some medical application for human medicine. Robert knew that we had the boats here, he had been, having been an undergraduate, and so he saw a request for proposals from the National Institute of Health to explore various aquatic ecosystems for potential chemical, biochemical, medical products that could be used. And so Robert, having that connection with us in the past, realized that we had the boat, we have the Great Lakes, nobody had ever looked. Nobody had ever taken the time to figure out if there were any organisms in the Great Lakes that might have compounds that could be used for medical purposes. So Robert called me up and said, hey, we've got this chance for some funding. Would you be interested? And I said, I would be a fool if I didn't say absolutely. So we ended up with 4 years of funding from the National Institute of Health. My role was as sort of the ecologist, sample collector, very, very low, not very sophisticated work. Robert does all the chemistry, isolation work, and so on. But essentially, we sampled over 250 sites in Lake Michigan, Lake Superior, and we had just a handful of sites over on Lake Huron. Each one of those little dots represents a place where we went and collected mud from the bottom of the lake. We used the Jackson. It was a terrific platform to work off of. The picture just to the right of the Jackson is the sample, one of the samples that we collected from the bottom of Lake Michigan. We collected mud from as shallow as 150 feet down to as deep as 914 feet. The deepest spot in Lake Michigan is 925, and my goal was to hit that 925-foot spot. I missed it by 10 feet, and I will never be satisfied with having missed that spot. It's a spot off of Manistee. So if you're ever up there fishing or boating, look for the 925-foot spot. If you find it, mark it for me on your GPS. So I'll go back. From that mud, then we isolated fungi out of those mud samples. I sent that stuff to Robert. He got them started growing on Petri plates, finally got them isolated into single species cultures. So he's got all of these unique fungal organisms growing. His primary choice for media to grow up large batch cultures of fungi is, hopefully this doesn't ruin anybody's breakfast, but Cheerios is the best thing for growing fungus on. Just FYI. From that, from that, he's got over 1,500 fungal isolates out of the mud that we collected from the bottom of the Great Lakes. 350 of those are unique. There's no gene sequence that we can find that matches some of the organisms that we collected. They've tested extracts, so they grow this stuff up in batch culture. They extract the gooey stuff from inside the fungus. Boil that down a little bit, get it into a solution, and they've been testing those extracts on several different lines of pediatric cancers. We focused on pediatrics because those cancers are extremely hard to treat with chemotherapies. In many cases, much more difficult than adult cancers. The sarcomas are really a tough group. From those extracts that they've tested so far, they have found that over 60 of the extracts from different fungi off the bottom of the Great Lakes show some level of anti-cancer properties. And the unique part is that some of those extracts will treat a wide array, many different types of pediatric cancers. Some of those extracts are very specific and only will kill one specific pediatric cancer cell line. So there's tremendous potential. They're currently working with a faculty person down at University of Texas Medical School in Austin, who her specialty is pediatric cancers, to try and figure out which one of these extracts actually might have some real world medical applications, particularly dealing with pediatric cancers. Right. So we're at the point where we're going to move into a new era at the Institute. We've been very successful, and now we're looking forward to the next point. This is our new vision, I think, our new hope for the Water Resources Institute. We want to be recognized as a leader in collaborative research that produces real-world solutions for real-world problems, training the next generation of aquatic science professionals, and in connecting society, and this is I think probably the most important part, connecting society with our water resources. People have to realize just how precious those water resources are. With that, thank you very much. And I have to thank Mike. He's going to give me a critique, having done the work that he did in theater. Let me know, what I might be able to do a little bit better. He's a kind.
But I hope I knew we would have a lot of questions.
Oh, sure.
And it might be Cheerio related.
Thank you for this great presentation. Here I am, right here. With lead and mercury and PFAS and everything, what are you doing anything about plastics, or is there, what can you tell us about plastics in Lake Michigan or any other water sources?
Yeah, that was, Dr. Steinman Al actually has done work on microplastics in Muskegon Lake and a couple other areas, specifically identifying the types that are there, but then also a secondary effect where those microplastics actually become a substrate for aquatic organisms, and those aquatic organisms are food for other things. And so we're seeing these microplastics get passed up the food chain because they become colonized by living organisms. At this point, I suspect it's safe to say that microplastics are everywhere. They're finding microplastics in fish tissues. So it's pretty much ubiquitous in the environment at this point.
John actually asked my questions, but I just saw a recent research paper that showed the presence of plastic in carotid artery plaques leads to an increased risk of heart disease and strokes. And I guess we know that it's an ongoing problem. My question would be, what can we do about it?
Yeah. Oh boy, that's a tough one. I was at a workshop last fall, and somebody asked me the question, what can we do to protect the Great Lakes? And I'm like, can you give me something a little smaller? So the sources of microplastics, right? We are inundated with microplastics, sources of microplastics. Pretty much everything we do on a day-to-day basis is packaged or bottled or wrapped in or in some way encased in plastics. And it's what we do with those plastics at the end of the day that will determine if we continue to introduce more and more and more of those plastics into the environment, or can we actually get our head around, get a handle on reducing the amount of microplastics being introduced into the environment. We know that one of the biggest sources now is fleece. It goes through the washing machines. It ends up in our wastewater system, goes through wastewater treatment plants because it doesn't get filtered out and it gets discharged into the environment from our wastewater treatment plants.
Mark,
so I would say cotton, buy cotton.
Mark, thank you and your colleagues for what you do in Muskegon. And as a fellow Chip, I'm aware of what goes on at the CMU Biological Center up at Beaver Island. But also you've got institutes like the University of Wisconsin system, the Great Lakes Institute in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
How do you guys work together, and how does that collaboration go, and how many of those institutes out there do you have associations with?
Oh yeah, terrific thought, because it's the network that every institute has slightly different strengths and weaknesses. I am happy to say that the current director of the CMU Biological Station is actually a Grand Valley graduate. Worked at the Institute when he was an undergrad back in the 90s. So we're everywhere, right? So we have had good associations with the CMU Biological Station. I've taught a couple of years up there for them. So we have this very nice working relationship. Al has done research up on Beaver Island. We've had strong associations with UW Milwaukee Field Station. One of our science advisors, Harvey Bootsma, is actually at the Milwaukee Water Resources Institute. There's an organization called SIGLR that's a collection of not just biological or field stations, but also a lot of the institutes around the state that focuses on and fosters those kinds of interactive or collaborative research projects. So we're deeply involved with that, not just with institutions, but also with the federal government. A lot of the work that Bopi Badanda has done, especially up on Lake Huron, that's all been in collaboration with NOAA, with the NOAA lab. We actually have NOAA people working in our facility right now doing some of their research as well. So I think we're very well connected at this point.
Hey, Mark. Wondering, the lack of snow, the warmer temperatures this winter have been great as far as getting around on land, but lack of ice on the Great Lakes. Why should we care about that?
Yeah, that's an issue that we're just starting to appreciate what the impacts will be. So I do a lot of my research up on Higgins Lake. I was up there the first week of February, and Higgins may have only had about 50% ice cover at that point. What that does is it speeds the system up. It makes things run faster, warmer, quicker than we've ever seen it happen before. One of the things that I've focused on up there is aquatic invasive plants. And I think what we're starting to see is shorter winters, less ice cover, even if there is ice cover, if there's not a lot of snow. If light can penetrate through the ice or with no ice through the water column, we see those aquatic invasive species becoming much more aggressive. That gives them a real advantage over a lot of the other plants in those systems. It's just going to drive our systems even faster than they have in the past. The other thing it's probably really going to mess with is the natural cycles of aquatic organisms. So two primary factors drive that biology. One is light and one is temperature. Those are starting to fall out of sync, where temperatures are much warmer earlier than the photoperiod is. We're not sure where that's going to end up. Is that going to set the system off so they're out of sync? Food resources are no longer available when they need to be for organisms that need that extra energy and so on, right? So I think we're looking at just the very beginning of that whole thing started to kind of wobble and fall out of sync. Yeah.
The next question is from our Zoom audience.
Oh.
From the Zoom, how is the water quality today in Muskegon Lake?
So it's better. We are at the point now, after years of being an AOC, an area of concern, we are on the verge of having Muskegon Lake delisted as an area of concern. Yeah, we're pretty happy. So they designate, they have the system called BUIs, so biological use impairments. And so you have to have a certain number of those taken off of the list of concerns. And we're really close to achieving that on Muskegon Lake. There's still a little too much phosphorus. We have blue-green algal blooms from time to time. Those are still a concern, but at this point we are better than we were 25 years ago. Yeah.
Claire, do you have another question? Last one. Inquiring minds want to know,
Hi, what can you tell us about Asian carp? Are they coming from Chicago to get us?
This might go back to what does less ice cover and warmer winters, longer falls mean? there's been a lot of debate about whether or not the Asian carp, big head carp, silver carp that are coming up the Illinois River through the Chicago Shipping Canal, if those are going to be a problem or not. And it's an ongoing debate. Some folks are in the mindset that the food resources that the Asian carp require, which is stuff that's in the water, kind of suspended in the water, that the big lakes, Lake Michigan, doesn't have enough of that to support a substantial Asian carp population. Right. The other side of that, though, is they spawn in rivers, and so we have the St. Joe and the Muskegon and the Kalamazoo and the Pure Marquette, and those are all connected to relatively productive lakes. And so in my mind, if they can make it along the shoreline, and you figure that there's a drowned river mouth, a nearshore river lake system about every 10 to 15 miles, they can certainly swim that in one day. That's not an insurmountable barrier. So I'm 75% that at some point we will see them in our coastal lake systems. We know that there is another Asian carp over in Lake Erie. It's called the grass carp. It was introduced years before the silver and big head carp. They have found spawning populations in some of the rivers on Lake Erie now. So we know that there are populations of that particular species already probably established in Lake Erie. So they will change our systems.
Well, not a happy note to end
I'm
on.
sorry. Yeah. Goodness.
Thank you so
Thanks.
very much. Dr. Luton, thank you so much for your presentation today. And going with the water theme, as a thank you for your presentation today, we will be making a contribution to Hand Wash, which is a cooperative initiative between Terra Nueve and Haiti and Champion Rotary District 6290 to provide clean water, sanitation, and hygiene in rural areas of Haiti. So your reach is even going farther. So thank you. It is that time, birthdays. So if we could have that slide, please. We're going to say happy birthday to Bob Lukens on March 8th, Ron Sussex on March 9th, Tim DeMumbrin, March 11th, Sean Burns, March 11th, and Stephanie Tushik, March 11th. That was the big winner for this month. So, if any of you are here, you are welcome to make your $10 contribution to the Caring Connection. And, your gift is, I don't sing to you, and really it's worth every penny. So just want to say that. We're ready for our spotlight video, our first one for March. It is one of our newer members.
My name is Gabrielle Gabe Gerlach. I'm the CEO of the Muskegon YMCA. I've been in my role for about a year, and I've been with the Muskegon Y for 7 years. I joined Rotary in June of 2023. I grew up in Ludington, Michigan, attended University of Michigan for undergrad. I have 3 amazing kids, and we live in the nearby community. Well, water is a huge piece of the YMCA identity. So in fact, one of the most common things that we hear is, I learned to swim at the Y, or with Y swim lessons. And so even though we are, even now Y Without Walls, we still provide swim lessons across Muskegon County for Muskegon residents. We just do it at different pools. One of the programs that I think we in Muskegon here at the Muskegon Y are most proud of is our Safety Around Water program. And so our goal is to do this program with every single 3rd grader across the county. We're getting close. We have all but 2 school systems involved in that. And so we actually serve over 1,000 kids a year. It's 3rd graders, and it really helps turn down or prevent that drowning risk. So that's a big program. And we also do summer programming for families too. So if those are things of interest or a need for people, we partner with the local pools to make that a reality. One of the things that appeals to me about the way that the Rotary model is set is it's very similar to our Pendaluan model. So Pendaluan is Muskegon YMCA's campsite. And we're 100 years old as of last year. But at Pendaluan, our motto is God or your faith first, others second, yourself third. So we go by I'm third. And I think that that really reflects that Rotary model of service as well, that you're really looking at how you can serve others and put that in perspective.
Thank you to Gabe. We have no inductions today, and we have no Paul Harris Fellow Awards today, but what we do have is announcements. So here we go. If we could start with the two photos, please. These are our representatives who this week are in Honduras building a school library. The Honduras group arrived safely in Santa Rosa de Copán and is working to construct and equip a school library. Sarah R.S., her son Elias, and Muskegon High School Interact students Victoria Guerrero and Zuri Lebrenz are representing Muskegon Rotary. And there's the whole group there that's working to do this. This is a unique project, and we were very excited to be part of it. So, and we will hear more about that and when they return. Next week, we are going to the Lake House in our effort to make you always say, where is Rotary this week? So on March 14th, go to the Lake House. Rewind will meet this evening at 5:15 in Walker's here in the Delta. And we are going to, I invite our people that are making in-person announcements to please come forward while you enjoy a video introduction. So Tim, we're ready for you. I didn't think it was fair that you got that label premiere, just saying.
Well, I'll tell you, when you ask Mike Voges to put a little something together to introduce the topic, he does a great job, doesn't he? If you recall, at our luncheon a couple of weeks ago, the Membership Council, as a part of its program, asked members to complete a short survey, and I have a sheet of paper if you recall doing that. One survey question asked the members to rank why they joined Rotary, and number two, why they continue to their Muskegon Rotary membership. And the number one reason that what they put forth was that networking, that is, networking is the number one reason that people join Rotary and continue their membership in Rotary. So that leads in well to Pours for Community. Not only does the Pours for Community raise funds for our Muskegon Rotary Foundation, but it also provides the opportunity to network outside our weekly luncheons. Our 4 happy hour events this year will enable members to engage in spring renewal. Many people will be coming back from warmer climates. Also, people are looking for the opportunity to get outside and be with other people. We also found in the 2 years that we've been doing the Pours for Community that it gives new members a chance to meet what are often referred to as seasoned members. It also gives them an opportunity to meet other new members and help build that relationship. Interestingly, a number of people have brought their prospective members to people that they are recruiting to Pours for Community, and found that it's interesting for those prospective members to see Rotarians outside of luncheon. So we encourage you to use this as an opportunity to network, as you have identified as your number one reason. So I ask that you please get the Pours for Community Happy Hour events on your calendars. Ask your friends and family members to attend. We've seen a number of family members in the past, and that was a great time. I also, I've been working with JJ Lewis. He's been a great help. He posted all the events to our social media. I've mentioned ahead of time that I'm not a Facebooker, but Ginny and Kim found that a little, that they said that, well, that's obvious if you use that word. But I recommend, JJ has recommended that you like and share these postings so that we can spread the awareness of the event. Seriously consider being a Pours sponsor. We have sponsor forms on each of the tables. I'll be around afterwards if you want to complete that and hand that in, or you can email it to me. And that's about all I have. Many thanks to all of you for what you've attended in the past. You can see a lot of your friends and fellow members on the screen earlier. So please come out. We enjoyed having you.
Hello, everyone. Arn Bozart again. I'm here with an announcement to remind all of you that we have 2 mobile food pantries coming up. We have a food truck distribution scheduled for Wednesday, March 27, a couple of weeks. And then our second food truck for the year will be on Wednesday, April 24. Somewhere in the room, there's a clipboard floating around with a sign-up opportunity. Can somebody hold it up? There it is. We need a minimum of 10. We need a minimum of 10. 15 is better. There we are. So it's a great activity, and it really brings Rotary into the community in a very visible way. So I encourage you all to consider participation. If we have more than 15, that's fine. It basically lightens the load for everyone that's there. Some of you looking around the room, looking at John and others are veterans, so we know how valuable this is. As we're talking about food trucks, I also want to draw attention to a non-Rotary related food truck. Was brought to my attention just today that Rob Mathis, one of our Rotary members, Rob is right there. Would you stand up, Rob, just so everybody can see you? Rob is a Rotarian here, of course, with us. He operates the City Boy public or mobile food pantry program through his faith-based community network. And Rob is scheduled to do a food distribution tomorrow, Friday, March 8th, at Community United Methodist Church at 4 p.m. They're located on Rudderman Road, North Muskegon. So Rob and his efforts really address the needs of folks north of the Causeway, and an important contribution as well. So there you are. See me if you have any questions.
Good job. Annette, don't forget the bookmarks for your book.
No, I won't. Thank you. I'm here to talk about Firekeeper's Daughter. This was chosen by the Michigan Humanities Council as the Great Michigan Read for this year. And I was asked to make this announcement about Firekeeper's Daughter because Doug Wood said that I was so passionate when I spoke about my reading it, so I'm hoping to be able to share some of my enthusiasm with you. The story of Firekeeper's Daughter is told by 18-year-old Donis Fontaine, whose father, Levi Firekeeper, was a star hockey player. And our author, Angeline Boulay, takes time in the beginning to talk about the story's characters because relationships are very important. Donis is a very bright, independent, mature young woman who has an engaging way of narrating her story while she's trying to find her place in the world. It takes place in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, which piqued my interest because when I was growing up, our parents took us up to the UP for a week's vacation every summer. Donis lives in Sault Ste. Marie, and she shares her love and descriptions of the beauty of the area, as well as the cultural significance of Sugar Island, which is in the St. Mary's River, the International Bridge to Canada, the spectacular Tequamanon Falls with its beer-colored water that cascades down, and tiny Paradise Town, and other things up in the UP. I enjoy reading a good detective story. Colin Dexter, Ian Rankin, even Agatha Christie. And surprisingly, this is a good detective story. I didn't want to put it down. And once it was over, I wanted to pick it up again and find out what Donis was up to the next day. It's also a bit of a love story, and it's educational as well. Within this fictional story are introductions to First Nation people through the Ojibwe tribe. Their language, rich history, historical injustices, their culture, traditional medicines, sacred beliefs and spaces, spiritual and ceremonial traditions, their guiding principles in the gifts of the 7 grandfathers. Having grown up in Michigan, I wish I had learned much of this a long time ago. Firekeeper's Daughter. I think you'll be glad you read it. And on your table today are bookmarks, which you can put in the book as you're reading it. And secondly, it tells you about when you can meet the author at Orchard View on April 17th. Thank you.
Thank you. So Meredith, I almost forgot, and how could I? If you are interested in the 32 Brave Rotarians March Madness contest, it's going to be starting shortly. Meredith has a clipboard. You're welcome to sign up. We're doing it like last year, women's and men's from Sweet 16 forward. Is that correct, Meredith? And there'll be details in the rim. So sign up your friends and neighbors. Won't they be surprised? We are ready for the raffle if Ed is still with us. So thank you, Ed. What are we drawing for first? $10. $574, $10. Oh, congratulations, our speaker. Hey, that's okay. Oh, you don't have to do that. It's a slim honorarium there. What's next, Ed? $5. $499. Oh! No booing the winners, please. Congratulations, Kevin. And if you draw Gary's number, you can put it back. 20 bucks. Yeah. Are you kidding? Okay, Gary, it's on your conscience. That was weird. We don't usually authenticate, but I think we will. Well, thank you all for supporting the raffle. The proceeds go to Polio Plus. And next week's program will be an analysis of the Muskegon County Housing Assessment Network. If you will please rise, we'll recite the four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Have a good week. Go create some hope in the world. We are adjourned.